faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. Kenny Anderson, host and producer of the broadcast, now 33 years and counting. We're so excited and delighted to be here with you on the very first day of the brand new year. Yes, everyone, Happy New Year to you. It is January 1st, 2023, and we are so delighted and honored that you're taking this time to spend with us. Now, I know it's still a big travel season. It's still a big time for family, fun, and fellowship. So we hope that you are doing that in a safe way, and we would not take it for granted that you've chosen to spend this very unique and specific time with us. Now, there are people listening this afternoon at 90.1 FM, which is the local radio station, but we've got another couple of audiences as well. We've got people listening on the internet all over the world this afternoon at WJOU.org, which is our internet handle. And also, we've got people on the live stream this afternoon on our Facebook live stream, which emanates from Praise 90.1 FM, as well as our YouTube page, which is also Praise 90.1 FM. And I'm going to let you folks know that I'm just so excited and delighted to be with you this afternoon for a bunch of different reasons. And you see the big smile on my first guest's face. He's just beaming already. I could not wait to talk to this legend in the music industry. Let me introduce him appropriately at this time. With a career that spans over 35 years and 25 albums, Will Downing, I did say Will Downing, folks, on the Second Chance radio show platform, is one of the most versatile and loved voices of our time. Known as the Prince of Sophisticated Soul, his repertoire consists of signature interpretations of R&B classics like I Go Crazy, Wishing on a Star, and I Try, with original hits, A Million Ways, Sorry, and the show-stopping duet with Rochelle Farrell, one of my favorites, Nothing Has Ever Felt Like This. Now, his distinctive baritone voice has resonated in the hearts of women worldwide and carved a unique niche in the music marketplace with fresh melodies and lush arrangements that satisfy all music palates. He's all over the place, folks. He's doing it and has done it so well for so many years. He's never been on this platform before, so we offer him a generous welcome to the Second Chance radio platform. Brother Will, what's going on this afternoon?
Man, I'm doing very well. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
And hopefully I don't need a second chance. We'll get it right the first time.
Absolutely, man. Listen, man, you've broken with that rich baritone. I hope you got a song in mind for me to sing for us today.
Well, hey, man, I figured you do the work. You know, I just do the interview. You could sing. You know, I can kind of do what you do, sort of, kind of ish. You do it better than I do, but, you know.
Listen, you're in that space, too, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But first of all, let me say Happy New Year to you.
Man, thank you very much, and to you and to everyone that's listening.
Thank you so much. And once again, at the very start of this broadcast, I want to acknowledge that this show is being dedicated to the memory, the life, and the legacy of my late mother-in-law, Mother Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs, who we celebrated her life on December the 17th. She passed on December 11th, and we're still dealing with that loss, that transition, my wife and I. So we're just bringing her spirit into the new year, and I'm dedicating my shows to her because of her beautiful soul, her beautiful spirit, and her beautiful memory. And again, Will, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, man, it is my pleasure, and my condolences to you and your family for your loss. But she's with us in spirit, so I don't want her to beat me on top of the head. So once again, I'm gonna try to get it right the first time. I ain't gonna insult the family. She ain't gonna come haunt me.
So I gotta start right here because I was watching a show recently. It's one of these shows that talks about celebrities and artists and talks about their backstories. It might have been unsung on another show. I don't remember what it was, but they reference you as being my homeboy from New York City.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm Lower East Side of Manhattan, LaGuardia houses. Tell me something about growing up in New York City, homeboy.
I grew up in Brooklyn, Albany Projects in Brooklyn, which is where I got my root in everything. My root in music, my root in being what I think is a decent human being, a good citizen, a father, the husband. All of that stuff is rooted in Brooklyn.
Man, listen, that is just an amazing legacy. I always think about my own roots in New York and the fact that growing up there, spent the first 21 years of my life there, I think was just a phenomenal experience. I think it really established me as the person I am today. Growing up in public housing was not a stain in my life. It was one of the most powerful experiences in my life. I had two parents that worked every day. They didn't earn a lot of money, but they gave us a whole lot of love. And that was special in terms of my experiences growing up in New York. And when I found out that you were a homeboy, I said, well, no wonder I love his music so much. He's a homeboy.
Hey, thank you. And it's funny, man, that you said that because you hear a lot of people speak about the projects in such a, I'm not going to say degrading, but they kind of down it. But when I was growing up in the projects, once again in Brooklyn, it was the greatest experience of my life. I mean, we literally lived across the street from a park called St. John's Park. So, after did my schoolwork or went to church or did whatever I had to do, we went across the street to the park and had a great time. I come from a family of four. I have one brother and two sisters. So, very close-knit family. Once again, just like you, two hardworking parents who, if my father, who passed on in 2015, if you heard me say we were poor, he would say we weren't poor. If I said we weren't poor, he would say we were poor. So there was no winning with him. And I have a few funny stories that kind of fall in line with that, not having, but not realizing that we didn't have.
Tell me one of those stories, man.
Okay. Well, all right. Here's the best one. All right. This is and it's funny, but it might take a second to tell. So
it's all right. Tell it.
Excuse me for the length of time.
Tell it.
So I remember I was about 8 or 9, or maybe even 10 years old, and I was playing with a friend of mine in the building. Like, we lived up on the 12th floor. I believe he lived on the 9th. So I'm at my friend's house. His name is Davion Keys, right? And I'm at his house and we're playing and I'm having a good time. And it's about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I'm like, oh man, I got to go upstairs. I got to, it's time for dinner. So Mrs. Keys, his mother, sees us playing, sees us having a good time, says, why don't you stay for dinner? I'm like, yeah, you got to ask my mom. I gotta ask my mom. So I said, let me go ask her. He goes, no, let me just call her. So calls my mom. I get on the telephone. I go, hey, mom, Miss Keys said I could stay for dinner. Is it okay I stay for dinner? I said, all right. And she's like, where is she? I said, she's in the other room. All right. Now you act like you got some sense and don't you ask for no seconds. Don't you ask for no seconds. I said, okay, Ma, I'm not playing. Put Miss Keys on the telephone. So Miss Keys, mom wants to talk to you. They hand the phone to Miss Keys. They talk, said, okay, your mom says you can stay. So we go back in the room, we start playing. She puts some food on a plate, put it on the table. We all go to the table, we say grace, and we're eating. Now we're having spaghetti and meatballs, right? And I'm eating this stuff like it is the only supper I've had all day, only meal I've had all day. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the best. Oh my God, this is fantastic. And so Miss Keys sees me eating the spaghetti. And she goes, would you like some more? And the first thing my mind goes to is, you better not get seconds. You better not get. So like I look at Miss Keys, I'm like, no, Miss Keys, I'm fine. Like, well, you look like you're really enjoying yourself. I won't tell your mom if you had seconds. I'm like, yes, I would like seconds. So she gives me some more spaghetti and meatballs. I scarf this stuff down, and then we go back to playing, and then eventually it's time for me to go home. I go upstairs to the 12th floor where we live, and I walk in the house. My mother goes, all right, now you acting like you had some sense, right? Yeah, Mom. You get no seconds. I'm like, no, I didn't get no seconds, Mom. I didn't get no seconds. And I'm going, I said, what did you guys have? I said, Mom, we had spaghetti and meatballs. I said, Mom, it was the best spaghetti and meatballs I've ever eaten. My mother's looking at me like, what? I said, Mom, oh my God, it was incredible. She said, well, what was so incredible about it? I said, Mom, we had spaghetti and meatballs, and she didn't even use any ketchup. And my mother looks at me and she gives me like the speech.
Uh-oh.
Like, there are four of us here. I have four children. Me and your father, we do the best that we can with what we have to feed you guys and to put clothes on your back and keep a roof over your head. And Miss Keys, she only has one son. Gavion is a single child. That is why they can afford to have spaghetti sauce. I'm like, spaghetti sauce? There's a sauce that comes with the spaghetti? my mother had been making spaghetti with ketchup our whole lives because we didn't have enough money to buy spaghetti. So, but she gave me this passionate speech, and I'm sitting there and the tears about to roll down my eyes. So we can't afford spaghetti. So I was like, wait a minute, well, there's a sauce that goes with this? So
that's a
that's
great
my
story.
poor story.
Now, look, man, that's a great story. And, we've all got those. And you made me think about something while you were talking, that you sound like you got those old school roots like I got them, where you checked in at the house, is it okay to stay and eat? All of those kinds of checks and balances that existed back in the day because of those parents that really was keeping check on us and making sure everything was straight.
Without a doubt. Listen, we had to be in before we saw them lights go on outside. It was like, man, I was running. I was running through the park like, like my life depended on it because it probably did. And yeah, we were inside the house, and it wasn't like kids today where the kids now have a menu and they out ordering food and they doing, there was one meal. Everybody ate at the same time at the table. And if you didn't eat, you didn't eat. That was it. It wasn't like I don't like, I can't eat. I'm allergic to. Like everybody eats. Yeah, everybody eats spaghetti.
No a la carte.
No a la carte. Nope. This is what we having. If you don't eat, you don't eat. Go to bed. You go to bed hungry. That's it.
This time of year, of course, is a big time for family. And, anybody I talk to just about talks about how this particular season from Thanksgiving to New Year's is just a time for fun and fellowship and family. And people express lots of positive memories and positive experiences. Is this that special time of year for you as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As I alluded to earlier, my father passed away in 2015. My mom is still with us. She just literally turned 94 on December the 12th.
Wow.
So, and, lives on her own in Brooklyn.
Wow.
My sisters, live there in the area as well. My brother, so we all get together and, we have a great time. We reminisce and tell stories and just have a lot of food and a lot of fun. And it's important, you know what I mean? In the age of us doing what we're doing now, on this video chat or texting and all, man, it's very easy to lose contact with people and think that it's a real form of communication doing what we're doing. And it's really not. When you get together with people, there's no experience like it, literally touching one another, laughing and fellowshipping and all that, man. You just can't beat that. So this time of the year is real important.
Yeah, you can't. And to that point, talk to me a little bit about what your experience was like during the pandemic, because that's always an interesting backstory for me, too, as well. I know it was especially impactful for artists and musicians who were used to traveling and performing and things like that. What was that experience like for you generally? And then as you're coming out of this initial phase of the pandemic that was worldwide, what's happening right now for you?
Well, I mean, initially, I didn't think it was that bad. I was like, oh, man, great. I can do all the things that are around here that I said I was going to do. I've been lying and saying, one day I'm going to. And, all of a sudden the pandemic and you can't go nowhere. And it's like, okay, all right. We got to that. And then after a while, we started recording and we started making records like I've never made records before without seeing people. Literally, we're sending files back and forth to one another, other musicians, singers, and we're putting together records. And it made me realize how much I missed the camaraderie of being around people that do what you do and people that you love,
Mm,
and having that direct communication.
mm,
As far as making records, I mean, obviously with the family component and people, yeah, you miss people in general. But for what I do, I didn't realize how much I would miss the sharing of ideas, being close to someone, how important it is, the emotion that you have to come up with in making a song or doing a performance. You know what I mean? It's like you're literally
mm.
sitting in a room by yourself, and it's like, feel something. It's like I can't feel anything because my mind is on trying to stay healthy. I'm worried about, obviously, once again, my mom, who's 90 at the time, was 92 because a few years ago. So
Mhm.
you're worried about her. She's living alone. You're hearing all these incredible stories on
Mm,
the news, so it's
mm.
messing with your mind. You're depressed. You're this, this. So it's like, if I ever get back to doing what I love to do and standing in front of people and performing and all of that with other people, I say I ain't never gonna complain again. So it's good to be back to work. It's good to be doing what I do. Um, this is what I do to make a living, so there is no alternative. So financially, it's good to be back to work,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's good to see other people and to be appreciated for what you do for your art.
Yeah, and you talked about being a husband and family man and just having that dynamic as part of your life. Again, when we see people in the celebrity arena, the music arena, and more, we oftentimes see them as just that person. We don't have the appreciation for the breadth and the depth of your life, or whether that's from an education perspective, family perspective, and more. Talk to me about the significance of you as a performer, traveling a lot, recording a lot, and having a family.
Well, it's interesting as an entertainer. You have two dynamics, and there's a contrast. When you're on the road, you want to be home. When you're home, you want to be on the road. Like this,
Right? The paradox, right?
there's a paradox. There's no happy medium. It's like you're out on the road, you're killing yourself, you're sweating every night. You wake up the next morning, you go to the airport or get on the bus or whatever it might be, and it's like you're killing yourself. Man, I just wish I were home. You get home for about 2 weeks, you're like, I wish I was back out on the road.
Mm.
So there's, there's no happy medium. You just do what you do. Um, you try to have a balanced life. That's what the pandemic has also did. It was a wake up call to realize that there's more to life than what you do, and it takes something like it took something like that to make me realize that that's not all that I am. So it was a wake up call for me, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. A lot of my musician friends feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. A new year, of course. And let me say to my guests or my audience that's listening right now, I'm talking with the great Will Downing.
I don't know about the great part, but you're talking with Will Downing.
Well, you let me say that. Don't say it for yourself, but you let me be the qualifier.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
the,
it.
the the legendary Will Downing, somebody that I actually you perform for the 100 Black Men in some city. I'm a member of that organization,
Okay. Oh, cool, cool,
and I
cool.
actually heard you perform at one of those national conferences. It's a little grainy in my mind right now, but I was just thrilled. Every time I go to those conferences, they bring some big name, and I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all got Will Downing coming to this event? It made me even happy to be a member of the organization.
Hey, listen, I was about to say it must have been a slow year when I was there. They couldn't find anybody good. It was like, hey, who can we get?
No,
Let's
man.
get this
Listen,
guy. He's a member.
no, listen, man. I think it was absolutely phenomenal. And one of the things I've really appreciated about your music over the years is your solo work, but also the duets that you've shared with people. I mentioned Rochelle Farrell earlier. There's one song, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but you and Phil Perry sang that song.
Oh yeah. I think we
Um,
did.
it's
What
in
was
my
it? Delphonics or like
yeah. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna look up the name. Next time you start talking, I'm gonna put my head down for a minute. I'm gonna look up the name.
All
But
right.
I love those compilations, and I wonder just from your perspective. I know you've done a lot of work with a lot of different people. What are those experiences like to be able to share that space with other people in those particular moments, being able to produce such great music?
Well, it's incredible because a lot of people that I've worked with before, some are well known now, but may not have been when we did it. And some are the other end of the spectrum. Some are like crazy famous. Like I grew up listening to Stevie Wonder, and I
Hmm.
did a record one time, and the producer that I was working with, a gentleman named Ronnie Foster, he and Stevie are tight friends. So we were doing this song, and we heard or imagined a harmonica solo on
Mm.
it. And I said, "Oh man, it'd be great if we can get Stevie." And he was like, "Well, let's call him." And I'm like, "What?" He said, "Man, let's call him." I said, "Okay, great." So he called Stevie Wonder, and this is a long story, so I'm not going to tell it. But Stevie, if you know Stevie, Stevie is known for being unbelievably late. And it ain't like he got to drive himself or nothing like that. 'Cause he got lost. He was walking. Got a brother is lost. He's late for everything.
Wow.
Everything. Now he and I, we're friends now, so I can say. But then, okay, let me condense the story. Even time is limited for both of us, but it's
Right.
a funny story, right?
All right, good.
So we decided we're going to call Stevie to play harmonica, a harmonica solo on this song. We called Stevie. Stevie says, "Man, I'd love to do it. I'll be right there." All right. So it's like 7 o'clock at night. We set up, got the microphone set up, waiting on Stevie. And me, it's new for me. So I'm at the door like a puppy waiting for his master to come home. I'm like, seven comes, no Stevie. 8 o'clock, no Stevie. 9 o'clock, no Stevie. 10 o'clock,
Oh,
11 o'clock,
oh my goodness.
midnight, the phone rings. "Man, I'm sorry." He's talking to his friend Ronnie. "I'm on my way." At midnight, I'm sitting there. Once again, I get my 1 o'clock, 2 a.m.,
Oh no.
3 a.m.,
Ooh.
a car pulls up. Now I'm paying at this time like probably about $125 an hour
Mm,
for the studio,
mm,
and he was supposed to be there at 7.
mm.
At 7 p.m., he shows up at 3 a.m. So at this point, when he walks through the door, I'm not only I'm ready to clock Stevie Wonder. I'm ready to knock I'm ready to knock black off the dude. I I swear. So he comes in, and luckily he can't see because I was sitting there, my teeth were like clenching my bottom lip had teeth marks on it. And he comes in, and then he sits down at the piano, and he goes, "Will, sit next to me, sit next to me." And I'm sitting there, I'm like this. He starts singing something. He was like, "Yeah, sing this note, sing this part." And I'm like, I'm singing this Stevie Wonder. Like this Stevie Wonder made me forget about all that stuff that he was late. All right. So now we're set up. He pulls out his harmonica. He goes up, we put him in front of the mic. He blows a little something for like that long. We press record to do his tape. Does it in one take.
Mm,
Does
mm,
it in one take.
mm.
And then the next thing I know, I'm looking at the back of his head. He's walking out the door, and he's on his way to South Africa, right? So I'm ecstatic first and foremost, and then they give me the bill, and I was like, "Oh my God, come on, man! $125. We're supposed to start at 7. We got
Right.
here at 3. I'm like, I owe, like whatever it is, 1,500, 1,700. I'm like, so I go to bring. I'm like, "Ronnie, I got to pay for this." Stevie says, "Oh no, I'm not going to charge you for doing the solo." You my man. You my man, because we were supposed to give him several $1,000s to do the session, and he just did it for free, man. So it's like, you my
Wow.
man, 50 grand. Don't be late no more though. So
Man, listen, I don't know if anybody's ever told you before, but you are a great storyteller. You got some good stuff in that repertoire for sure.
thank you, sir.
And I did find the song. It's "Baby I'm For Real"
Oh
featuring
yeah, yeah,
Phil
yeah,
Perry.
yeah, baby, I'm for real.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead,
Oh
go
no,
ahead,
hey,
go
hey, look,
ahead.
people paid me for what I just did. All right, and I'm not Stevie. I wasn't late. Yeah.
Man, look, we got a big year ahead of us. 2023 is upon us. Those of us who have survived to this point, of course, are very grateful and very thankful, excited about what the year holds in front of us. I see you got some big concert dates coming up, including one that's going to come through my neck of the woods just 90 miles away in Birmingham, Alabama on February the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, at the Allen Stevens Center. I think I'm going to have to come down and check you out, brother.
Hey, listen, man, if you're a smart man, you would. All right. if you don't know what to get the person in your life, get them a ticket to come see me on Valentine's Day. There's a couple of days where what I do is very, very, very relevant.
Right.
That's one of them. All right. Valentine's Day, you just sit there with the person that you're infatuated with, person you're in love with, the person you're married to, the person you're going with, the person that you want to get with or whatever. You sit there, you put your arm around them while I'm doing what I do, and you don't say a freaking word. You don't have to say nothing. Nothing. I'm going to do the work for you.
You're going to drive the train, right?
I'm going to drive the train. I'm going to be the alley-oop man. I'm an alley-oop, and all you got to do is just dunk it. You just got to sit there. Just don't say anything. That's it. Just act like you enjoy the guy up on the stage. That's all you got. Right. Just sit there and look at it once in a while and go like,
right. That sounds like a great formula. You got some other good stuff coming up in the coming year. Is there anything else that we need to know about the coming year that you want to share with us?
I'm going to drop a new album in February as well.
Oh,
so boy. Yeah. I mean, in this day and age, you cannot release music fast enough, nor can there be enough of it. Which is a complete, contrast to the way it used to be. Like when I started recording, it used to be, don't burn your name out by doing too much, and doing a bunch of guest spots on other people's records. These days, it's just like, you can put out a record every week. And I swear to you, I mean, it's just like there's just a sensation of needing more, like just while you're online. I mean, something's very important for that long, and then, next thing you know, like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, you almost forgot what you just read or what you said you were going to do, or because there's so much going on. There's such a news feed that continues. So that kind of has filtered down to the way entertainment is in music. So yeah, I'm going to drop some new music in February, and hopefully people will love it. And if you don't, I'll probably drop something in March.
Hey, it's good to keep your options open, right?
Hey, listen, I ain't good looking and smart like you, man. So I gotta keep this thing going.
But you work in the baritone for sure, though. There's no question about that.
I got a voice for radio, brother. I got a voice for radio.
Well, listen, man, it's been great talking with you. I hope we could do this again sometime. This is your first time on the Second Chance platform, and I know that there are people listening who have social media presence and like to keep in touch with people, find out what's going on. I'm sure you have a social media presence, website, and more. Tell us how people can stay connected to Will Downing.
Well, if you want to come to the website, go to willdowning.com. If you would like to support and buy a product or buy music or whatever, you come to theprinceofsophisticatedsoul.com. And we have t-shirts and hats, and you can buy music from there as well. You can find me online. I'm Will Downing 3 on Instagram. I'm Will Downing Singer on Facebook. And just punch up my name, Will Downing. If you see someone that looks like me, just press follow. Probably me. Could be. Maybe not. But at least I was popular enough to, for someone to mimic me, who I am.
Will, my homeboy from New York City.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on back. Come visit us, man.
I got to do it. It's one of my favorite places, and I'm so glad that we've had this chance to talk today. Enjoy the rest of this New Year's Day, and I hope you have a fabulous year.
Thank you very much. And you have, like, the name of one of my favorite point guards ever, Kenny Anderson.
Oh, hey.
Played for the Nets and also played for Georgia Tech. Ball player.
Came out of Archbishop Malloy High School.
There you go. There you go. Yes, sir.
I'm from New York, man. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Great to see you, brother.
You too, Kenny.
Take care, man.
You got it.
The legendary Will Downing on our platform this afternoon. What a great way to kick off the brand new year on the Second Chance Radio Show in our 33rd year of broadcasting. just such a fitting way to do it, and we're so grateful to have had that opportunity to talk to Will this afternoon. We got some more conversations coming up, and we'll do that in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson of Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Save a place for me. Save a space for me in your heart.
Every year, the United Negro College Fund helps thousands of students go to college. But for everyone we help, there's one we can't, not without the funds.
Save a place for me.
Please support the United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Call 1-800-332-UNCF. A message from the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
A great start to the new year for the Second Chance radio broadcast. Kenny Anderson, host and producer of the broadcast every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a great opportunity to talk to some great guests, and what a way to kick off the new year with Will Downing himself on the air for the first time, and we're so honored and pleased to be able to have him. We're going to keep the music going this afternoon in one figurative sense. My next guest is Cameron Sankey. Now, Cameron describes his relationship with music to the air we breathe. It is always here and will always be here, yet is continuously evolving. I'm so excited to have him on the platform this afternoon. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff over the next few minutes. Cameron, welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast.
Thank you for having me, Kenny. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I was telling Will he's my homeboy because we're both from New York City. He's from Brooklyn. I'm from Manhattan.
Okay.
You're kind of my home state dude because you're from Birmingham, and I moved from New York to Huntsville over 40 years ago, so I consider this to be my home. You're just 90 miles away from where I am.
Yes, I am.
And that's fantastic. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like growing up in Birmingham and your early musical influences.
Oh, wow. I tell all the people that I meet, Birmingham has a special place for music, going all the way back to your Motown days with your Temptations, all the way up to, Diana Ross her family's from Bessemer, all the way up to now, and you have Reuben and so on and so forth. We were able to learn a lot of music here, a lot of different genres, even with my grandmother, Katie Sankey, being a gospel artist.
Yeah, something that you were exposed to. And those were some of your earliest influences. Talk a little bit about how you got into actually becoming a musician. It's an interesting story, I think, every time somebody tells it, because people arrive in that space in different ways.
Yes. I started early with my family, the Sankey family. My grandmother, again, is a national recording artist. And my dad and my uncle and all of them were able to play music. They all played instruments. And so growing up early, I watched them playing, and I mimicked everything that they did. And so that was how I got started.
Yeah. What was, it's interesting because kids become a reflection of the environment that they're in. And, for me, I know you're a pianist. I know that my sister Jackie, who of course made this interview possible, I want to give her a shout out this afternoon and thank her for that. But yes, my sister Jackie played the piano, learned how to play when she was much younger than when I tried to play piano. I think my parents gave me piano lessons when I was 14, 15. I thought it was a lost cause by then because there were too many other things to discover at that time. And you got to get those roots early, as far as I'm concerned. Was that what it was like for you?
Oh, yeah. There's a story. I don't remember it, but my grandmother tells this story of how we would be in church, and I would have 2 popsicle sticks, and I would be keeping time with the band while they were playing in church. And she said you had to be every bit of 2. So, yeah.
Wow. Very early on in the process. And, your bio talks about actually beginning to play piano at the age of 7, but your earlier foundations, you said, was much earlier. But just some of the various influences that came into that process, I found to be fascinating for you because you had kind of a diversity in terms of the music that was influential to you. You referenced groups like Earth, Wind, and Fire. You talked about the Yellow Jackets and David Ferrante, and you also talked a little bit about Anita Baker and David Foster, Cedric Thomas. So, you know, clearly there were these musical inspirations that appealed to you and, you know, landed, I'll say, in your spirit in a way that informed you, inspired you, and educated you, and drove your passion for the musician that you become.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I started with Earth, Wind, and Fire. They did a live by request back when it was on pay-per-view. And that was my first time seeing, for me, people that looked like me that were having so much fun doing this. Like Verdine, that was amazing. Morris Pleasure was on keys. I'll never forget that show. Like that right there made me say, I'm gonna do that for a living.
Yeah, what a powerful influence indeed. You also have some gospel roots in you as well, because again, you started out, as you said, with family members who were steeped in that tradition. It's a tradition that you were raised and born around.
Yes.
Your bio also says something interesting, I think, that also shows, again, the diversity and the range of your interest as they might be manifested right now, where it states that you've shared the stage with Jonathan Nelson, somebody that a lot of people in this specific community, the Oakwood University community, will know about, but people listening all over the internet right now and also the live stream would be able to connect to, but also R&B singer Anthony Hamilton, who, of course, has distinguished himself. But then you've also performed with the Alabama Symphony Orchestra. You've recorded a single with Regina Bell, who has moved between R&B and gospel as well. So there's a lot of things, a lot of fluidity happening there in terms of the direction of your music. I wonder if you talk a little bit about what moves you in the direction that you go in once you begin moving, recording, writing, and other kinds of things that happen in your musical world.
Oh, well, I say I'll start off here that music, again, is just like the air that we breathe, and it is always constantly evolving. So whether it's on the Christian side of things or the secular side of things, there's always a mission and a purpose that comes with it, with doing this thing that we call music. It's going to always be to uplift somebody somewhere.
Yeah. We've talked a lot during this holiday season about the gift of music, something I talked with my good friend Vic Brooks about. And I was actually 2 weeks ago when I was talking with Vic, we were just talking about the holiday season and the fact that during this particular time of year, we experience music a lot, whether that's through the Christmas music, whether that's through other seasonal kinds of music that we're exposed to during this time. Very, very significant historical legacy songs have been a part of this holiday season. But for me, and this kind of ties in what you're talking about with, it's just like the air that we breathe, we call music a universal language. We call it something that connects people from all over the world. We call it a neutralizing factor in terms of people's emotions, in terms of driving people towards a common place where they can experience unity and peace. Just talk a little bit about that aspect of music, if you will, in terms of the context of music being a gift to the world.
Oh, wow. I definitely agree with everything that you just said. First and foremost, I think music takes on, if you will, it's just like knitting, how a person takes this one string and they interwove it and they continue to sew it until it becomes this piece. But it was all started with this one string. And that's what music is. It holds all of our lives together in such a way that we've never, ever thought before. You can find a song for being happy, being sad, being lonely, being mad. You can find a song when you don't know what to say.
it's important too, I think, when I think about some of the things that happen during the holiday season, whether that's caroling, whether that's, visiting people in nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and
Hmm.
how there's just something about music that um, calms people,
Yes.
that energizes people. And I
Hmm.
think about again the range of music at this time of year, whether it's a hymn or whether it's a traditional standard, a Silent Night, a Joy to the World, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, or whether it's the seminal song This Christmas, or
Yeah.
um, you know um, Mariah Carey's famous song Christmas.
Yeah. What
Uh,
is it? I don't want to lie for Christmas.
yeah, all I
Yeah.
want for Christmas is you.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a Alvin and the Chipmunks fan too at Christmas time, and a Rudolph
I'm with
the
you. I'm
red-nosed
with
reindeer
you.
fan at Christmas time too. The
Yes.
the music of this season, I think, is incredible. But I think even beyond this season, as I think about music that's crafted and created, the people behind that art, the people that are
Hmm.
behind that craft, uh, the special way in which those skills are cultivated in
Yes.
terms of musicianship, whether that's vocalizing it, whether that's instrumental versions, whatever that
Hmm.
might be. It really is, I think, a very unique thing that we experience in life when we have that, because it also gives us a chance to, I think, appreciate a very broad range of genres
Yes.
when we think about music as something that is given to the world as a gift.
I definitely agree. I mean, with music for me, what music has done for me is it has really connected this whole thing that we call life. And it's made it manageable and even in some places extremely happy for me in life. I don't know where I would be without what we call music,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah. Tell me what it's like. And I always like to talk to musicians about this because I'm one of those folks in the audience who's always fantasizing about being on the stage. I'm not coveting the gift that I see, but I'm admiring and appreciating the gift. And I see
Yeah.
so many musicians and have seen so many musicians over the years, whether they've been individual musicians or musicians playing with bands or, uh, you know,
Hmm.
whatever I've seen, it's always been an amazing thing to see someone, whether it's been a small venue or a large venue. It just seems like it's just such an amazing thing to be out on that stage at a live performance. Um,
Yes.
Talk to me about what that experience is like, because I know recently you did a live performance in one of my favorite venues, which was the Perfect Note in Birmingham, with my
Yes.
man TK down there and doing his thing up. TK and I are good friends, by the way. Um,
Cool.
yeah, we're very good friends. In
Yes, sir.
fact, we talk on a regular basis about a variety of things. But talk to me about what that live performance experience is like for you as a person being on the stage.
I think it starts, it's two parts. So I'll deal with the first part is the actual stage. Being on the stage, it's breathtaking because up there you get to showcase what's in your soul. You get to play from your soul. And you get to do it with friends. Like I like for this past show that I did, I had Sean Michael Ray on bass
Yeah.
and David Smith on drums. And with us and the camaraderie that we've all worked together, it's nothing better than that. Of course, I had my singers and so on and so forth, but that camaraderie of just being on stage is amazing. That's first and foremost.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Secondly, the energy from the crowd.
Mm,
It's something about connecting with the person on the other side of that stage
mm,
and them feeling the same thing you feel.
mm.
That energy alone is amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, again, I've been in the audience where that electrifying experience is taking place, and I can only imagine what it's like being up on that stage receiving that.
Yes.
And very much like a speaker who connects with their audience in a very powerful way. I would imagine that for musicians, it's that same type of thing that if you
Exactly.
are aware of that connectivity and that option for that and that possibility, you can nurture it
Hmm.
and really have a phenomenal experience in the same way that you might feel a disconnection if you're not able to generate that. And of course, that would
Right.
be a completely different experience as well.
Right. And that's the scariest experience of all, is to be on stage and you like, whoo, where's but no, I have been graced to have people that connect with us. Like I did a song at the last concert, Smile for Me, off of my project. And the audience just kind of just took it. And when we got finished, it was complete silence. I was like,
Mm.
did y'all enjoy that? And they were like, overwhelmingly, yes. Like it was so good that we went back into it again.
Oh,
And so,
yeah. Yeah. And I need to throw this in too, because I definitely didn't want this to slip by. Some of my audience may not know who Sean Michael Ray is, but I know who he is because he's been up to my event, Jazz in the Park, a number of times. And Sean Michael is a beast on the
amazing.
bass.
We call him the legend.
Yeah, oh, I see it. I concur. Ditto.
Yes, sir.
Well, listen, Cameron, you are also a family man. And one of the things I'll celebrate you for in your bio, you say marriage matters. You acknowledge your wife, Courtney. You acknowledge your 5 children. Talk to me a little bit about that space that you're in as a performing artist, as a traveling artist, as a recording artist, who also has a great love and understanding of the core value of
Yes.
marriage. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, wow. Marriage is everything. Um, and, some people would say the good, the bad, the ugly, but I see it as it's a part of the whole picture. You can't have a picture without having the frame. You can't have a picture without the substance being in it. You can't have a picture without, all the other little additives. And that's the way marriage is. Even when it comes down to our kids, we have 5 of them: Justin, Jason, Isaiah, Isabella, and Olivia.
Mm,
Um, just being with them, I don't know if I would be whole without them.
mm, mm.
They mean a whole lot to me. Like once we finish this, I'm going right back upstairs and playing with Isabella. Uh, but it's just it's the purpose.
Mm,
They are purpose in my life.
yeah.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, our lives are oftentimes lived in a linear fashion. So, you're kind of
Mhm.
going through life, you get married, and you're kind of defined by that experience. You don't have kids yet, but then you have kids. You had your first child. And what's the range of ages for your children?
Oh, my oldest boy, Justin, is 16.
All right. So you had a 16-year-old 16 years ago. You
Mhm.
have a 16-year-old who you had 16 years ago. I get
Right.
that right. How did having that first child change your life? Because I'm sure it did.
Ooh.
Talk about that.
If you've never heard the phrase being a man, that's where it falls in right there, because you take on the responsibility of being the provider
Mm,
for somebody else, not just in the sense of making sure that they eat, but their mental well-being, their emotional well-being, their spiritual well-being.
mm,
All of that now is in your seat. This is what you have to do. You have to line them up and set them up in a way that they can be able to take off from that platform and
mm,
move to the next level.
mm,
So it definitely put a sense of urgency, because sometimes as musicians, we can get caught up in, oh man, I just enjoy playing, and I can do this as a hobby all day long.
yeah.
Having him said, okay, you're gonna have to choose.
Yeah.
You're either gonna go with your dream or you're gonna go get this 9 to 5.
Mm,
And I chose the dream.
mm. Let me ask you this too, because I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the 5th child was a girl.
Yes,
All right.
Olivia.
All right. So Olivia, from the first Justin to the 5th, Olivia,
Hmm.
how did that change? What transitions are you able to assess from the 1st to the 5th?
I'll say after Justin getting your reps in with Justin, you kind of pick up momentum, if you will. So by the time we got to Olivia, this was a well-oiled machine. When it was time to go on the road, you're on the road. When it's time to get back home, you're back home. You know, your daddy throughout all of this, your husband throughout all of that, you know. And then on top of that, it takes a strong wife to be with a strong man that's a musician. So my wife, to see her have to carry the load when I'm out on the road or, you know, in the studio for 12, 14 hours, and she picking up this kid from daycare, taking that kid here, you know. So by the time we got to Olivia, okay, it was like boom, 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 boom. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to make this. And
Yeah.
that was the transition.
Yeah. So Justin was at on-the-job training, and then by the time you got down to Olivia, it was like, hey, I'm a veteran now. I kind of know what this thing is going to require.
She'd be looking at us some days like, Daddy, I'll be like, here. She'd be looking like, how did you know I would? I got you.
That's all right. And, you know, to be able to provide that assurance for your children as a father is a really, really important thing. Kids need that today. Kids have always needed it, but especially with so many influences today and so many gaps. And when I say gaps, I'm talking about there's so many ways for other things to get into people's lives now. That to be available and present for your children, I think, is one of the most important things that you have to do as a parent today. And appreciate you also giving honor to your wife for the support that she's provided in this union as well.
Yes, I'm going to tell you a little joke. I can play all day long, but setting up a ring light to make sure that it works, that it fits your face, that was all her. I can't do this without her.
Right. Hey, that's called assessing priorities and making sure that you got that thing right.
Yes, you know.
That's terrific, man. Listen, I want to ask you about a couple more things before we end our conversation, which I'm thoroughly enjoying, by the way, this afternoon. We're talking with Cameron Sankey, musician this afternoon, phenomenal pianist, recording artist, husband and father, and we're covering the whole landscape today of his life in just a short period of time, and we appreciate him being here. But you're also Chief Executive Officer for Playworks Musical Group, and you provide musical services through this initiative. Talk to me a little bit about what that is and what you're doing with that.
So Playworks will do everything that you needed to do, from going on the road to writing songs to producing songs. We do it all. We do it all. And I created this organization, this company rather, so that we could meet those musical needs that not everybody else meets. You know, some people are cover bands, some people only do this or do that. And I wanted to be able to encompass that whole area. And so that's exactly what Playworks is for.
And what do you hope to, over time, you know, if you start something, clearly you have some ideas about what direction you want to take it in and what specific outcomes you want to find or experience as a consequence of that. What do you think the future of this initiative is?
Well, I definitely wanted to move Playworks into the area of being a label. And I'm not really caught up with, and this is no shade to any of the other labels that are out there, but I noticed that Birmingham and Huntsville and a few other cities in Alabama get looked over by mainstream, and they don't understand how much talent and all the jewels that are here. So, okay, if nobody will come here, then we'll create it.
Now, you just said something that I often talk to people about, and that is the whole notion of not waiting for opportunity to present itself. You know, there's a saying, I'm going to paraphrase it. I hope I get it right. But it basically says, you know, you can't wait and sit back for opportunity because it's not going to necessarily knock on your door. Sometimes you got to break the door down and create your own opportunity. And
Yes,
that is exactly what it sounds like you've taken advantage of, and something that you have chosen to do that you hope to be able to be part of the legacy that you are able to look back on over a period of time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to definitely leave leave it better than what I got it.
Mm, mm. Well, nobody will ever fault you for that. That is absolutely the way that one should go, and we can commend you for that. We are celebrating the brand new year today. It is January 1st, 2023. That's just crazy to me when I think about it. I mean, I remember December 31st, 2021, when we were looking ahead to this past year. And here
Yeah.
we are in a brand new year, brand new opportunities, lots of exciting things to anticipate. What
Yes.
does 2023 look like for you, just across the spectrum of this new year?
Oh wow. Where do I start? I start with family. My oldest boy will be graduating at 2024. So this will be the start of his senior year coming up. So
All right.
hey, I'm ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
Um, my CD. That's where I that's first. There was second in area priority,
Yeah.
but watching where they go,
Hmm.
watching where that moves.
Hmm.
We definitely had a lot of love given behind this CD.
Mm.
So to see where it goes, I'm extremely excited about that. I'm also playing at um, the festival Seabreeze.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not an artist, but I'm playing at it with an artist this year. So
yeah.
that's big for me. I've always seen it happen,
Yeah.
but for me to finally get the opportunity, that's amazing.
It's a big stage, too, man. Seabreeze is big.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's great, man. Listen, best wishes on all of that, because I'm always excited. You know, I'm an educator, I'm a mental health professional, I'm an administrator, I'm a promoter. So I'm a lot
Mhm.
of different things. So I always like to cheer on people in their journey in life, wherever they might be. I don't care if you're just starting out in the game, you've been in the game for decades. I'm like people's biggest cheerleader, because I celebrate success in people's lives. I think it's available. I think that those who choose to go out there and get it, and I see them going out there to get it in spite of whatever else is going on, I'm like, it's yours. Go get it, grab it, run with it, hold on to it. And I'm right there saying, go, go, go.
Mhm.
I hope that you have a phenomenal 2023. And I hope that we can visit with you sometime on your journey, so that you can get us up to speed on where you are and what's happening with your own career and your own life, because clearly you have some amazing things going on. And clearly you've got your priorities established in a good order. And I really appreciate that. Cameron, you've got a website, you've got a social media presence. You like to stay connected to people and let them know what's going on with you. Tell us
Yes,
how
sir.
people can stay connected with you and stay on top of what's going on in your life.
Well, it's easy. CameronSankey.com. If you're looking to book or anything like that, info at playworksmusicgroup.com. You can get me on any of your social media websites. You can look up Cameron Sankey. Sometimes it's Cam Sank for short, but you can definitely get me on any of them. I'm there.
Not hiding from anybody. Give us that website one more time.
CameronSankey.com or info at playworksmusicgroup.com.
Cameron Sankey, it has been an absolute pleasure to be able to spend this time with you on my first broadcast of the brand new year. You have shared some insight and perspective that we can all benefit from. And I simply want to say thank you again. Shout out to my sister Jackie, who made this possible. She's perhaps listening today. So thank you, Jackie, for being the
Thank you,
bridge.
Jackie, and
Yeah.
thank you, Kenny,
Well,
for this opportunity.
thank you so much, Cameron. I appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a great rest of the day, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
All right. Cameron Sankey joining us this afternoon. We appreciate the conversation that he provided for us. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon and all of the wonderful ways that you have engaged us on this first day of the brand new year. Kicking things off this afternoon with the legendary Will Downing. We appreciate him for joining us. Cameron Sankey following it up with another great conversation. And folks, I've got another significant and important guest to introduce in just a few moments. But first of all, we want to let you know who we are, what we're doing, and why we're here today. And we'll be back in just a moment. I'm Kenny Anderson, host and producer of the Second Chance radio broadcast. Looking forward to continuing our conversation on this very important day. We'll be right back.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise. Filling your day with songs of praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
Hey, Jack, you got a sec?
Yeah, sure, come on in.
Yeah, I was wondering if you... Jack, your hair's on fire.
Yeah, I know. I just need to finish this sales report, and then I'll probably, I don't know, let me lie down for a bit. But I'm sure it'll go away.
But the flames are getting bigger. Shouldn't I... Your hair, there's so much fire.
No, I'll be fine. What can I help you with? Oh, dear. Well, at least we know the sprinkler system works.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? If you or someone you know suddenly experiences numbness of the face, arm, or leg, or sudden trouble speaking, seeing, or walking, don't wait to get help. Call 911 right away, because time lost is brain lost. To find out more, visit www.strokeassociation.org or call 1-888-4-STROKE. This message brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you are having a great New Year's Day. I hope that you're being mindful about the blessing of this new year. And I hope that you are looking forward to some really, really meaningful experiences over the course of the next 365 days. I want to once again thank my previous guest, Cameron Sankey, for a great conversation. And we look forward to having more conversations with him in the future. My next guest is Chris Jasper, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted keyboard player. He spent the majority of his career recording and performing with the legendary Isley Brothers. The former Juilliard student and CW postgraduate continues to write and perform excellent music, has been in the space of this music zone for many, many decades now, and he was recently, I should say, received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammys. Joining me this afternoon for insight and perspective, none other than Chris Jasper. Chris, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you.
Fantastic, and Happy New Year to you.
Same to you. Yes.
Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to a great conversation, and we've been looking forward to this conversation for a while, and I'm glad that you're on the Second Chance platform on this afternoon.
Glad to be here.
So let's go back. We have a little bit of time today, but we'll make sure we compress it and get it all in. I always like to go back to the beginning, and for some of us, the beginning is a lot further back than some of us, but let's take it all the way back to the beginning with early musical influences for you and how you got started in this music industry.
Well, my early influences, I was just a kid. I was a big music fan. I listened to the radio a lot. My mother played piano. She had a piano in the house. And I used to try to play by ear at first. I think I was like maybe 6, 7 years old. And I'd hear like a Sam Cooke record, a Ray Charles, Marvin Gaye, and I'd go over and try to fill it out on the piano, fill out the chords, And my mother saw me doing that. She said, "Chris, you have a good ear for music. You should learn how to read music." And so she arranged to have me take lessons with a professor from our church, and he taught me a lot. He taught me how to read music, and even some of the techniques the composers would use, in constructing their material. Because I told him I wanted to be a composer, and I'm this little guy, sitting on the bench, and I said I want to be a composer like the ones we're studying, And he goes, "Well, you're going to have to, really study a lot because you have to learn how to orchestrate. You have to write for other instruments, So it's you have to learn a lot to be a composer." So I said I wanted to. So he started to tell me more and teach me more of how composition worked, the ins and outs. And that was the beginning of my my learning experience as far as music was concerned. But when I got to high school, I started to play with Ernie and Marvin Isley, the two younger brothers, and we formed a trio, and we performed, around the local area in New Jersey. And at that time, the older brothers were at Motown, and they had a contract with Motown, but they would send people over to where we rehearse. We would rehearse at Miss Isley's house, and they said, "Come over and listen to these guys. They're good," And eventually, Ronald arranged for us to record some of our stuff at a studio in New Jersey, Englewood, New Jersey. And after that recording session, he said, "Hey man, you guys should start playing with us, with our band, And so we did. And as time went on, we grew closer together. We played on more and more sessions. We did, we traveled on the road even with them. And the first time the public saw us was on the 3+3 album, when we released that album. But we were recording, music like years, like maybe a few years before that. We were playing on the records, So it was kind of it was always a family thing, because we knew each other. The Jaspers and the Isleys knew each other like since I was born,
And you're from Cincinnati.
Yeah, we're both families are from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And so we were raised on the same street, right across from each other. So it was always a family thing, but professionally, it didn't get professional until like after I graduated high school and went to Juilliard, and then we started to play on the records, and our professional relationship started to grow from that point.
Yeah. You did attend Juilliard, which is a rather distinguished institution, of course. And, when you get that opportunity, it probably designates something in your music journey, because it is such a renowned institution of musical excellence. You ended up going to CW Post as well. Your classical training has served you well over the years. And I wonder if you would just talk a little bit about that aspect of your musical journey and how, as a foundation for the work that you've done over the years, that has served you.
Yeah, I always say that, without my classical experience, without that education, the nuts and bolts of music, I don't think I could have composed a lot of the music that I did compose, and I wrote for the group and for my solo career. I don't think I could have imagined it, because that exposure to classical music, also jazz, I got to have a course with Billy Taylor, the great composer and pianist. I learned a lot, and those experiences helped me form, my own approach to writing and arranging. Actually, the sound that people recognize when they hear an Isley Brothers sound, a lot of that is due to the chord structures that I used, which were quite different than what everybody else was doing at the time. I would combine, different degrees of the scale in addition to a regular triad. I would put sevenths and ninths, sometimes 11ths, augmented chords, a lot of things that jazz composers would put in music, like Gershwin, Debussy, big influences on me in the classical field. So that experience was very important, and it kind of formed my chord structure and my melodic structure a lot of times that I use. It's quite different. Like the song like Highways of My Life or Lover's Eve, has a lot of classical feel to it, and ingredient in it.
I want to ask you about one of my favorite performers of all time. In fact, he recorded my favorite album of all time and my favorite song of all time, and that's the legendary Marvin Gaye. You, of course, had some opportunities. Actually, I think you did a new version or your own personal version of that song. I want to ask you about what's going on as an album. And I want to ask you about the song itself, because when you listen to that song today, you realize how timeless it is.
Yes.
You also realize what a genius Marvin was. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, when that album first dropped, I was in college, and it struck me right away because at the time I didn't know what a good pianist Marvin Gaye was. A lot of people still don't know that he was a good pianist. He played, and most of the stuff he played was jazz, but I could hear right away that, hey, this is different. This is different than the other Motown records that he recorded. You know what I mean? It had more depth to it. It started to go into the things I was studying in jazz, and I was writing in college. I was writing a lot of music in college, for the student composers concerts, and it really hit me like nobody's doing this. You know what I mean? It was an album that had a sequence. One song led into the next, and no one was doing that kind of stuff. And what's going on? The song itself is really. It took me a while to understand, the lyric, what he was actually talking about, but it was so well performed that it didn't really matter at first. You know what I mean? It didn't really matter. It was just such a nice change from everything else that was happening. And I really believe it was a landmark album. It really established something different in R&B and in music in total.
And it stands the test of time. Recently had the 50th anniversary edition. They released a vinyl version of it. In fact, I have a copy of that because, like I said, it's my favorite album of all time. I haven't even taken it out the plastic. I just wanted to have it, as a keepsake, because it's such a powerful gift to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And then, like I said, it made a statement, musically and lyrically.
Yeah.
It made a statement, and people really gravitated toward it. I remember musicians talking about it all the time. There was this drummer in college, that went to CW Post, and he was like, "Hey man, what is that rhythm? What is?" He couldn't figure out, what the conga players were playing. Musicians were getting into it. You know what I mean? Like breaking it down. And when you have an album like that musicians respect, you have something special.
Very, very powerful indeed. A seamless work of art, and just one of the most powerful experiences that I've had in terms of my own appreciation of music, and just wanted to share a little bit about that and hear your thoughts on that. Talking this afternoon, let me let people know, talking with Chris Jasper this afternoon. You may recognize his name as a part of a legendary group called the Isley Brothers, recorded for many years. Chris has gone on to do, first of all, work with a trio of artists, two of the younger Isley brothers and himself, Jasper Isley, Jasper Isley, and also has launched a solo career as well. And are also doing producing and other kinds of things as well. Talk a little bit about that aspect of your work.
About production?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I did a song with Shaka Khan back in the 80s. And it was a really good experience because it was a situation where I just finished my solo album, my first solo album, Super Bad. And I ran into her producer, who was, setting up a project for her at the same studio. And he said to me, well, we're looking for more material for her. Do you have something for her, like a song that she could record? I said, sure. And, I got into producing that song, with Russ Tylerman. And she's just such a, she's quick, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can, work with an artist and it takes them a while, to get into, what you're trying to do. But she was very quick, man. I just sang the melody to her a couple of times. She had it, she put her own spin on some of the harmony. And I got the opportunity to sing background with her, and it was just a great experience. And I really like that. To work with artists that get, what you're trying to present, the quick learners,
Yeah.
But I also produced some other artists on my label, on my Gold City record label. Some new artists, Out Front was a gospel group I produced. Then Brothers by Choice, they were sort of like a Boys to Men group, quartet. And Liz Hogue, she was a single artist. She recorded an album. But here lately, I've just been, concentrating on my own music.
Yeah. Chris, tell me a little bit about your journey through the pandemic, because it clearly had an impact on so many people, and especially people in the music, artistic world. I've talked with performers and other people in the industry who've talked about the impact it had on their traveling, but they also talked about the impact that it had on their creativity during that time, and how a lot of people shifted and found time to do things that they didn't have time to do before the pandemic, and actually had some of the most productive experiences of their lives. I wonder what the experience was like for you.
That's right. I did an album, my latest album. I wrote it, during the pandemic, Raise the Bar. And it really did, it helped me focus a little more, because, a lot of the things that you do, like going to restaurants and, going out to different places weren't open. You know what I mean? It was like a lockdown. So there was a lot of things you couldn't do. So, it really made me focus in more on what I was doing musically. And got some good results too.
Yeah. That's a sentiment that I've heard shared so many times. I think that's awesome to be able to have had that experience. I got to ask you what it was like to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got to tell me what it was like getting the word, and then actually what the experience was like.
Well, getting the word was kind of, came from left field, because I wasn't expecting the call. I wasn't even thinking about a Hall of Fame. I was, I think at the time I was thinking about doing my next solo album, and I remember I was sitting in my living room and I got a call, and it was, one of the people from that academy, and I said, you guys are going to be inducted, into the Hall of Fame. And I go, okay, that sounds pretty good, And then, she gave me the details, where it's going to be and all that, and in Manhattan and so forth. And it took me a while to, that's pretty good. That's not everybody, gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, And so I was very happy about it, and it turned out to be a really nice event. It was at the Waldorf in Manhattan, and a lot of press. So many cameras. I think every newspaper in the city was there, and it was a really nicely done affair. And when it was over, it's just kind of I had to take a minute to just realize that how important it is to be recognized in that way.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I have it right back there. The award is right back there on my wall.
All right.
And it's just one of those things where, like I said, just not that many people get inducted into that the Hall of Fame, and I ended up donating one of my synthesizers, my Liberation, to the Hall of Fame, and one of my outfits that I used to wear. I can't wear anymore.
one of those signature outfits from back in the day.
Yeah. So but it's a great thing,
Yeah. Absolutely a moment of distinction, because, as you said, everybody doesn't get that honor, and there's always this debate about who's deserving of being in there and who's not, and who should have got the call before somebody else. But just to be there, I'm sure, is a big honor. And Chris, you have a decades-long journey through the music industry, so clearly you have lots of things that you recollect, and lots of memories and high points, and maybe even some low points. What has, and I'm not asking for a whole list of things, but as you think about your journey through the industry, what has this journey taught you? What do you take away from the experience of having had this journey that really you're still a part of?
Well, it's taught me that never stop, never quit. Never stop doing what you have been, kind of trained and guided to do. I mean, I've done so many songs, and so many albums, and some of them, did a lot better than others, But the thing that you learn is keep growing, keep pursuing. I wrote a song, a solo on one of my solo albums called "Keep Believing," and that's the thing you have to have in this kind of business, is you have to keep believing that what you can contribute is meaningful. You want to keep believing that you're going to connect with your audience, and keep believing in yourself that you can keep creating. A big inspiration to me is my family, my wife, and my relationship with God, and those things, keep me focused,
Important things indeed. And I think that, for most people who've gone through life, and one of the biggest assets I think that we can benefit from in life is wisdom, because we can't stop the aging process. We're going to get older, whether we like it or not. And at some point we're headed out of here. So the point that I'm always thinking about it at my stage in life, and I just turned 65 this past September, I'm thinking, okay, so what has it all meant? I've had this experience and that experience, and when I was born and raised with a spiritual foundation in my home, and it directed me and guided me lots of times based on what my parents did. But at what point did I embrace that for myself? And what is the real meaning of all these things that I've been given and had an opportunity to do? So I appreciate you sharing that with us this afternoon. And I want to, before we transition out of this conversation, which has been a great conversation, by the way, and I thank you for the time you've given us today, I want to ask you, what is the significance in your mind of this Lifetime Achievement Award that you got from the Grammys? Where does that stand in the line of experiences that you've had in this industry?
Well, Lifetime Achievement Award, that and the Grammy in particular, it sort of represents to me that your music has had an impact, socially in society, and it's affected people in a certain way. I know that now more than I ever did before because on Facebook and the internet, people really give me their opinions, like what this song meant to them, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea that it was that important to people. Like, I knew we sold a lot of records, you know what I mean, but the impact that it has, I think that's what a Lifetime Achievement Award kind of represents. Is not only have you done a lot of things, but you've impacted the audience and society in a certain way.
Music is, as we shared earlier in the broadcast, a universal language. It has the power to do so many different things for people. I also reference this time of year, which is a seasonal time of year where whether it's Christmas music or other kinds of music that has the potential to inspire us, uplift us. We know the Grammy Awards are coming up once again, and big hits that we've looked at over the past year will be considered, and some that will not be considered that may have meaning to us. I love the personal nature of music. I can choose whatever music I like, whatever genre I like, whatever artist I like, and as that music speaks to me, I can have a very unique and personal experience. And I think that's what I appreciate most about the experience of listening to music and being a part of that whole thing. Chris Jasper, I want to thank you for being a part of our conversation on our platform this afternoon, Second Chance, which is just a small radio show here in Huntsville, Alabama, that I've been doing now for some 33 years. I feel very fortunate to have had the privilege of being in this space for that length of time. And this is your first time here. I hope it's not your last. I hope we can reach out to you again at some time in the future and invite you to come on and share some wisdom and some nuggets as it relates to your own personal experience. You clearly have that and have shared so much of that with us today. People want to stay connected to you, find out what's happening in your world. I know you've got a website, you've got a social media presence. How would people go about doing that?
Just go to chrisjasper.com or goldcitymusic.com, either one. And you can get to everything from there.
chrisjasper.com or goldcitymusic.com will take you to paradise. Well,
hopefully to the stores.
Chris, listen, I hope that you have, I want to say Happy New Year once again on this first day of the brand new year. I hope that you have an amazing 2023, and I hope that it provides everything that you want. Blessings to you, your family, and your ongoing success in this industry.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Chris Jasper joining us this afternoon, folks. Chris is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee as well as a graduate of the CW Post School, having also attended Juilliard School of Music in my hometown of New York City, and also a recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Grammys. Clearly, excellence in the musical industry has been a part of Chris's journey, and we had a good opportunity to talk to him about a lot of things related to his own specific journey. We've got just a little bit more to talk about and do today. We've got one final guest that we're going to bring on here in just a moment. He's been patiently waiting, and we thank him for doing that. And we'll do that in just a moment after we do these short pieces of homekeeping. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance, and I hope that you're having an amazing first day of the new year.
Hello.
Is Joey home?
Joey, the door.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Hello, son. I'm Dean Rubin from college. I'm here to invite you to join us this fall.
Me?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've reviewed your application. No, wait, right, you didn't actually fill out an application.
I didn't think I had to.
You know what? That's fine. Because your algebra grade certainly... No? Wait, you didn't actually take...
Well, no one told me I was supposed to...
whatever. You really want to go to college, and we really want to have you.
Joey, out of bed.
Hey, wake up. You can't dream your way into college. There are actual steps you need to take. For all the steps, visit knowhowtogo.org. Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Have you saved a life today?
I took 2 flood victims to a shelter.
I donated a day's pay to help a family that lost everything in a fire.
Have you saved a life today?
I teach a class in infant CPR.
I donated a pint of blood.
Have you saved a life today?
No, but today somebody saved mine.
The American Red Cross. Together, we can save a life. Call 1-800-HELP-NOW or visit redcross.org to offer your support.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenneth Anderson.
You know, if there was one way that someone asked me, you know, how do you want to start your brand new year? Who would you like to have on your show? What elements would you like to highlight? This experience today would be just that. We've had an amazing journey on the first day of the brand new year, and that journey continues in this moment with another guest who is joining us right now. And we're so happy to have him. Let me introduce him officially so that you can know exactly who I'm talking to. Los Angeles-based pianist, composer, and songwriter Joe Rozum graduated from Boston's Berklee College of Music, the same key bedrock as Quincy Jones, Branford Marsalis, and other famous alumni. Joe's vast repertoire includes a seamless fusion of smooth jazz, cool blues, piano ballads, and violin duets, some of my favorite instruments, by the way. And therein lies his definitive brilliance. Together with a stellar band of studio musicians, Joe has been performing sold-out shows at Herb Albert's Vibrato Grill Jazz Club in Bel Air, California since August 2017. Got to get out to Bel Air and check that out, of course. He's produced and released 5 CDs of his own original music, and his current single, Grease Funk, has been on the smooth jazz radio channels across the U.S., Australia, the UK, Europe, and the Philippines since July 2020. Aside from performing with his dynamic band at Vibrato, Joe loves performing at private home concerts. I don't know. I might be having one of those one day. And parties. He is also a private home piano teacher, and he plays piano for music ministry at his church. Welcome to the Second Chance broadcast, none other than Joe Rozum. Joe, how are you doing this afternoon?
Hey there, Kenny. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I've been fired up about this conversation for a while now. I know you have too, and so I'm just so happy to have you in this space at this time for a great way to finish off our opening show for 2023. So let me start out by saying Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and everything that encompasses that wonderful holiday season. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me be able to be on your show.
Absolutely. Listen, this is amazing for me to have so many wonderful guests on the broadcast. Again, like I said, on the brand new first day of the year, you guys have hit a home run for me today. And I hope that a lot of people are listening all over the place, locally, on the internet, on the live stream. We got this stuff pumping out there all over the place for people today. And I'm just so excited to be able to have you and others on the broadcast. Joe, I have to confess, and I didn't confess it with a couple of other pianists and keyboardists today, but piano is my absolute favorite music. Even though I don't play, I mentioned to one of my guests earlier, my mom waited until I was maybe 14, 15 to start giving me piano lessons. I think it's too late at that point. Well, let me back up. It's never too late, but I think that your mind is moving in so many different directions. I assume you didn't start at 14, 15, 16. Talk to me a little bit about your beginning influences as it relates to the music that you now have become musician in.
You know what, Kenny? I started when I was 6. I was starting when I was a little cub, and I had the same piano teacher for 12 years, and he was magnificent. And bless him, he's up in heaven right now, and just a wonderful friend to me. But he got me into Berkeley, and he was just wonderful. He gave me all the. He was like, gave me jazz, gave me blues, gave me rock, and you had to learn the notes. But it was wonderful, and I never thought that I wanted. What did I want to do when I'm 15, 16? And my father was a dentist, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll follow the medical world. And then afterwards, when Berklee College of Music came into my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just gonna apply to one school, and I applied to Berklee and send everything up there. And during that course in time, other people were saying, well, don't you think you should go somewhere else? I said, no, I think I'm going to be accepted in Boston. And sure enough, my father played sax and played church and, did the organ in the church. And so he was thrilled the day that I called him at his office. And I said, Dad, you're not going to believe this. And he says, what? He says, I got accepted to music school. And what it was just fun. It was just a real, it was like a Hallmark moment. It was really, really great. It was really, really awesome.
Wow. And joining us, I mentioned other famous alumni like Branford Marsalis,
Mhm.
Jones, and so many
Absolutely.
others. There had to be some sense of reverence in
Oh.
some ways of stepping into this space where these great people have come and somehow are still there and moving through those channels. And that had to be an awesome experience for you.
Absolutely. Going to Boston, I came from Pennsylvania, from a tiny, tiny, tiny little town. As a matter of fact, the tiny little town that I'm from is Reading. I don't know if you ever played Monopoly. They have 4 railroads, Reading, B&O Short Line in Pennsylvania. And then outside in the suburbs was a tiny little town called Wyomissing. That little town is the same town Taylor Swift was born in, and she was there. So it's funny to share that story, but I do. And then of course she moved down to Nashville, and now you see the incredible music career that she has. But coming up there to Boston, I was in this little, in the suburbs, and going into the city was like, wow, it was neat. And just being a college student and learning and being with everybody from all over the world, because Berklee College of Music is such an amazing school that is attracts everybody and anybody, and all the superstars that have been there that have made a name for them. I mean, it was amazing. It really, really, really was. So yeah, I love it. I really do.
So you go to school. A person goes to school and they major in something, or they land in this particular track that seems like whatever happens is going to be inevitably their career. Well, that's not necessarily the case for everybody, whatever their major might be. People may major in one thing and then end up doing something else in their life. Was there a point that you just absolutely knew, not just because of the investment of having gone to school, that I'm going to make this my primary career? I'm going to make this music thing my primary career. Was there a point in time that became so clear to you that you said, nothing is going to detract me from this at this point? I'm going to dive in full speed ahead.
You know what, Kenny? I was a performance major, and being a performance major, I had a classical teacher and I had a jazz teacher. And everybody, when you go to Berklee, of course, are you going to be a teacher? Do you want to be a composer? You're going to be, whatever line of work you want to pursue. And in the senior year, and actually at the end of the junior year, it was the fact that there was a lot of practicing to do, a lot of practicing to accomplish underneath your fingers. And when I tell people I had to practice 8, 10, 12 hours a day, they think, how do you do that? That's impossible. I said, no, it really isn't. I said, you practice 4 hours in the beginning of the day, and then you have classes, and then 4 hours later, and then 4 hours at the night, and there's your 12 hours right there. And on the weekends, you kind of doubled it. So after after the senior year, and when I was going and speaking to the different teachers, they said, Joe, you can do it. You can do it. Just push it. And if it's what, and my whole motto is love what you do what you love. And I kept doing it. And then I moved to California and had an opportunity to meet people and get to play people and, you know, with all incredible musicians. And now I just finished up another sold out show up at Herb Alpert's Vibrato, which is just like a magnificent, it's a mega, it's just, it's awesome up there. And I was actually just up there for a show last night, and Eden Alpert, who runs it, is just, she's just incredible. And the place has all the incredible musicians that come up there and play. So the Christmas show I played up there was sold out, and it's just neat just to, you know, play up there and see everybody being happy during the Christmas and the holiday season.
So let me ask you this, Joe. You landed in LA, and I'm sure that when you come out of a school like Berkeley, there's some options. Maybe you stay in the New York area or go to the New York area. Maybe you go to Chicago. Maybe you go to Miami. I don't know. LA, of course, is a huge option. Was that a calculated move in the sense of, if I want to become what I think I'm moving in the direction of, I want to be here because this is where my greatest assets and resources will be? Was there some strategic analysis of that?
I think, I don't know. I think California, the weather, you know, the warm weather, it's, you know, the beaches. I'm a beach person, so
that alone makes it right.
There you go. And it was just something that I thought, you know what, I think California would be my thing. So drove cross country and came out here and not really knew anybody. And then just a matter of, you know, you tell a friend, you meet a friend, you meet a friend, you meet a friend. And it just was one of those things that just kept going and going. And that was great.
Yeah. You've released or produced and released 5 CDs. Talk a little bit about the elements of that process. How involved have you been in that? And what have you learned through that process?
Oh, boy. Bringing incredible musicians, incredible friends of mine into the studio, and just seeing what they do. I mean, they make love to their instrument, and it's just, you know, we get it, we got it, we recorded it, and I get to listen to these incredible musicians, and I can now, it's like baking a cake. You get all the different ingredients, and all the different ingredients add to a beautiful song, and that's what I love to do. I'm on number 6 right now, and I'm halfway through CD number 6, and I'm hoping, and I'm shooting for the summer of next year to have it done. And I just enjoy it. And now this whole new process of going into the studio and sending the tracks out is, you know, during the pandemic, of course, that was, you know, something that was happening, and as opposed to going into the studio and being with the musicians. But you know, I mean, everything happens one step at a time, and we all learn, and you know, everybody learned what we had to do. We had a survival rate there with that whole pandemic going on.
So I've talked about the pandemic with several people today, and I know that I like to talk about the upside of the pandemic. For me, it was recognizing that I needed to probably do less than what I was doing in terms of, you know, all these things I'm doing, I don't necessarily have to be doing. I need to reorder my priorities in life. My mother-in-law, who came to live with us during that time, of course, she just passed a couple of weeks ago.
My condolences to you there, Kenny. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I saw your post on Jackie's page too. And my wife and I definitely appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Yes.
But that was all a part of that, just reorganizing my life, my priorities, my health was number one, and all of those kinds of things. As I talk to musicians and artists, they too are telling me that there were high COVID high points, things that they learned through this very dark time that we experienced, where people were separated, things were locked down, you know, traveling was, you know, basically eliminated, or at least heavily monitored.
Correct.
What was that experience like for you in terms of what was the learning in that for you?
Wow. You know what? I learned, I was at the piano, and the teaching declined incredibly. The private parties declined incredibly. And even during the Christmas season, oh boy, it was just, you're used to getting the calls and seeing the same people, the same clients that hire you during that holiday season. And it was just, wow, it was tough. It was a challenge. Let's put it that way. It was a big challenge. But at the same time, when you're faced with a challenge, God gives you that challenge, and He'll only put enough weight on your shoulders that you have to get through things. And that's what I did. And then playing at the church. Sadly, a lot of the weddings were all postponed as well, so there weren't many weddings happening. And it's just it was just a lot of keeping the faith and keep moving the process forward.
Yeah. And again, I think we all learn something, I hope.
Right.
Because adversity is one of those things. They always say that brings out character.
Yes.
But also the fact that, when we have difficult times in life, one of the things that I've learned through my own journey in life is that I don't ask the question why as much anymore. I really ask the question is what is happening that I need to learn more about? What is happening that can perhaps be a benefit to my life? And again, like I said, during this particular stretch of time where, all my after five, because I work for the city of Huntsville, and so I'm constantly, meetings and appointments and ribbon cuttings and special occasions and constantly going 7 days a week. And then none of that's happening anymore, and my wife is working from home. I'm working outside of the office, but nothing's happening after 5. It wasn't so much for me, what do I need to do with my time? It was, this has happened for some reason. I don't really know what that reason is, but it's not as important for me to know what the reason is. The most important thing for me is to do a personal self-assessment. So a lot of introspection, what really matters, what's really important, what's most valuable. And of course, those answers really came up for me very clearly to the surface. I need to take care of myself, need to take care of my family. Those are the top priorities, and everything else will work itself out. So I really love to reflect on that, because it's easy to look at all the darkness in the early stages of the pandemic. But there's some really positive things that came out of that for so many people. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. We're in a brand new year, 2023. I'm talking, let me let people know, by the way, with the halfway mark, talking with Joe Rozum this afternoon, pianist, composer, and so much more. I mean, he's just, we'll call him the everything man right now, because he does so much, and we're so glad to have him on the platform this afternoon. 2023 is here, and every new year brings with it new opportunities. As you think about 2023, what's on the landscape for you?
More writing, more music. I got to tell you here, Kenny, last summer in August, I had the opportunity to do probably one of the greatest and biggest commercials that I've done, which was super big platform. And it's going to be actually coming out, I'm hoping, in a week or two. And it's for Valley View Casino. And a dear friend of mine, I'm going to give a shout out. His name is Rick Malidi, down at Innovision down in San Diego, dear friend of mine. And he had mentioned to me, Joe, this is a commercial. It's for Valley View Casino, and I want you to do this. Gave me all the information, gave me all the ingredients. I went in there, Kenny, and it was 4 days in the studio, the team together, and all I've got to say is, wow, the music just came out incredible. And he called me up. He says, I mean, everything was A all the way down the strip, and it was just great. So now they had to do the shoot, of course, down there in San Diego. And he said, Joe, it's going to be out in January, and I'm thrilled. So that's number one. I really want to see that, because I've mentioned it to a lot of my friends. And playing, I like I said, I do a lot of the private parties, which are wonderful. And then just getting my foot, hopefully, fingers crossed, and getting it into some of the smooth jazz festivals throughout 2023. It's just that's my excitement. And like I said, when I play at Vibrato, I do a summer show. And then when I do my Christmas show, it's just neat, because you have people that follow you. You have new people that come and learn your music and hear your music and want to buy your music. It's that thrill. But and students, I love teaching people. I really do. That's a lot of fun. I love when I get adults, because adults want to learn just to play. They're not like kids that have to learn from the very beginning. But adults, I've had adults that just want to watch my hands. That's all they do. They don't want to do anything else. They just, well, how'd you play this, Joe? They just want to watch my hands. I said, okay, you're on. And then with the kids, we just got to move forward and, learn little by little by little. And the interesting thing is when I get brother and a sister and they're 10 years old or 6 years old or 12, there's always a little competition between the kids. So one kid might be better, obviously, than the other one. And the other one is just like, I'm trying so hard, Joe. I said, just take a breath, take your time. We'll get through it. So that's what I enjoy. But like I said, the private parties, when those come around, oh, Kenny, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. And then the people come up and someone might be a singer. Would you play this? Would you do a little blues or a little? Sure, absolutely. So it's neat to do that and just, well, do you have a website? Yes, I do. And so it's neat meeting people like that. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's got to be really, really cool to be in that space and have those opportunities. And speaking of cool and having those opportunities, just peeping your webpage, I saw a familiar face on there. It happens to be one of my favorite actors in the whole wide world. I know you sent me some correspondence about that as well. But you have to tell us about this connection to Martin Sheen, the actor. What's happening with Martin Sheen and you? And if you can tell us. And
sure.
then, let us know how that even came about, because that's big news to me. I love Martin Sheen.
You know what? Martin is a super, super, super dear friend. He's just when you meet him, you feel like you've known him for all these years. And I did one of my concerts I did back in 2016. Martin, I had asked Martin, I said, Martin, I've done this song. Actually, it was prior to that, probably 2015. I've done this song. And a friend of mine, I'd written this song. It was an instrumental. I thought, you know what? It would really, really be great if I can do this as a voiceover. So I spoke to a friend of mine, a dear friend, the lyricist, who's an incredible poet, and I've done music with her, Maria Kukula-Tyner, and she's up in Washington. So I wrote to her and I said, Marie, I need you to put something together. I have a song called The Sun, the Sky, and the Stars. And I said, I'm going to ask Martin if he can do a voiceover. And she was like thrilled. I said, I know what I want. I know the music. And so anyhow, I saw Martin and I said, Martin, I said, is there a chance you could record this song? He said, Joe, I'd be delighted. Joe, I'd be delighted. I'd be honored. I'm thinking, oh, wait, this is Martin Sheen I'm speaking to. This is, oh my God. No, I'm delighted that you're even taking the time out to even consider this. So you know what, Kenny, he came to the studio. And we were in there for probably maybe about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, because he was on his way to another studio. And he came in and he gave us so much material. And as he came out of the booth, he said, is that enough? I said, oh, Martin, I'm giving you a big hug. So I gave him a big hug. We got pictures with him. And I'll tell you, it was great. So when I did my show the following year, once again, I said, Martin, I'm doing a show here at Pepperdine in Malibu. And I said, is there a chance you might want to do my song? He said, Joe, I'd be delighted. I'd be honest. No. It's the other way around. I'm just honored that you would consider doing it. And he did it. And oh my God, he hit a grand slam. It was fantastic. So, but a wonderful, wonderful person from a heart of gold. And yeah. So that's how the song came out to be. And like I said, that's definitely going to be on my CD number 6, for 2023. Absolutely.
Wow, that is just an amazing backstory, of course. And I have great respect for Martin Sheen as an actor, great respect for him as a humanitarian, and a person who I think genuinely cares about the issues of our day and speaks truth to power, as one might say, regarding those things.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's another song which I did, and absolutely we've seen everything that's been happening from last February out there in Ukraine, and it really, really hit my heart. And you couldn't help but cry to see what was happening on TV. And and I'm a big animal person, a huge dog person. And I'm just thinking of the animals and, of course, the children and all the people out there. So I had to write this song called For the Love of Ukraine. And the video is up there on YouTube. And it's gotten it's gotten some interest from people. And when I've done my last 2 shows last year, and I brought in violin and I brought in cello on the stage at Vibrato. I'm thinking, well, I have enough room. And boy, oh boy, yes, I had enough room. And not only that, the response for this song, oh my goodness, it was heartwarming. And I literally said, I'm doing this song every time I perform everywhere, especially with them, because like I said, it's something that was so close to my heart. And I pray for these people during the holiday season and what's going on out there. And, it's just, we don't know what's going on, and what we see on TV. I'm sure there's things that we don't see on TV that we probably don't want to see, but it's just one of those things. We just keep these people in our prayers and the animals. And, but like I said, For the Love of Ukraine was just one of the dearest songs that I wrote. And it really didn't take me long to write it, maybe about 25 minutes or so. It just started pouring out of me. And once it started pouring out of me, then it's like, I know I'm onto something. And then when we recorded it, it was wonderful to record it too. So yeah.
Wow. And violin and cello are two of the most beautiful stringed instruments out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excited to hear that you had that as part of the process as well. And, I got to ask you, just got a few minutes, but I got to ask you,
sure.
You're a dog lover, so you're probably a dog owner.
I have a Major, absolutely. A chocolate lab, a Major, and he's a character. He's an absolute character. Yes, absolutely. I think one day before I get called upstairs, I would love just I don't know. I'd love to get involved in an organization or something like that. I really would. Like I said, it's just I just love animals, and like I said, dogs are my buddies. And like I said, it's just when you see everything, on TV, and you see these wonderful rescues and adoptions. Yeah, I'm up for that. I definitely, I'll go play a show or do something like that for one of those. Absolutely.
What's his name?
My dog's name is Major.
Major. Okay.
Major.
Awesome. All
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Fantastic. Joe, listen, we've had a great conversation. I know you've got a social media presence. You got a website. We want to let people know how they can connect with you and stay engaged with you and learn about all the good things that you're doing. How would they go about doing that?
Oh, sure. They can. I mean, I'm on Facebook, so they can hit my Facebook page, number one. And then number two, they can just go to my website, Joe, R-O-Z as in zebra, U-M as in Mary, joerozum.com. And they can follow me, and then they can get my email off there as well. And they can see where I'm going, what I'm playing. And I always respond to people. As a matter of fact, just recently, my last show, I have to share this with you because it never happened to me, was I ended up playing vibrato my Christmas show. And people came up to me and said, Joe, you know what? I think this couple here is going to get engaged. And I thought, what are you talking about? So I went up to the guy. I said, hey, young 22-year-old. And I said, hey, listen, I said, if you want, before I go on for the second half, would you like to propose to your lovely lady? And he looked at me, he said, I said, come on, this will be a first for me and a first for you. So he said, okay. So it's on Facebook. And so he came up and he says, will you marry me? And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was great. A lot of people from my church were there. Even the pastor was there. And I said, hey, maybe the pastor will give you a good deal, and marry you. So it was wonderful. It was really, really great. So, I always welcome all the new people that come to my shows. Absolutely.
That's a fabulous fun first, and hopefully there'll be more fun first.
Absolutely. And you've been wonderful, Kenny. Thank you so very, very much for having me on the show. And a huge thank you to Jackie as well, because Jackie, your sister, is, wow, what a gem. On a scale of 1 to 10, she's a 50, and the same with you. She spoke so highly of you, and I thank you. And hopefully one day I get to see the two of you at one of my shows.
Absolutely. And, we've got Jazz in the Park Huntsville here, so that happens every September. And
right.
So we will definitely look at bringing you here at some point in that process so we can give you the Huntsville vibe.
1,000%. I'll be there knocking at the door.
All right, Joe. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Again, Happy New Year to you.
Kenny, Happy New Year to you and to all your listeners. And again, a million thanks for having me on your show. I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great
Okay.
day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a show today, folks. I tell you, what I did to become the beneficiary of such a wonderful first day of the year broadcast, I don't know, but I guess I'm doing something right. Amazing conversation with Joe Rozum just now. We appreciate him being here and sharing all that great information. We're going to come back in just a moment with more of our broadcast. It's Second Chance. We're going to wrap things up and tell you about next week. I'm Kenny Anderson, and I hope that you're having an amazing day.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share, or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
What a show, folks. That's the way you start a brand new year. My guest, my very first guest today, the legendary Will Downing. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and joining us for a very, very powerful conversation. My homeboy, Will Downing. He from Brooklyn. I'm from Manhattan. Cameron Sankey, pianist. Chris Jasper, 1/6 of the famous Isley Brothers at one point in time, then a trio, Isley, Jasper, Isley, and now doing solo stuff, concentrating on his solo career. Appreciate him being here with us this afternoon. And then finally, pianist, composer, songwriter, Joe Rozum. Great conversations today. Next week on the broadcast, our first edition of What's Going On, as we continue the love being shown throughout this year, the 33rd year of the broadcast, continuing to celebrate the life and legacy of my dear mother-in-law, Mother Ernestine Fletcher Tibbs, who passed on December 11th, was celebrated on December 17th. And I'm going to just donate every show this year to her life and to her legacy. We love Mother Tibbs. We miss Mother Tibbs, but we're going to make sure that we move forward in power as we continue to memorialize her name. And I'm going to have some information, too, about that very important scholarship that I'm establishing at Alabama A&M University in her honor that will support social work students, which is the major that she wanted to pursue when she went to Alabama A&M University so many years ago. I hope that you join me next week for the next edition of the broadcast. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Happy New Year to everyone. Be safe, folks, and we'll see you again on next Sunday. Remember, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you, so please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.